Bragason! We finally know who's playing Zelda and Link in the Legend of Zelda live-action movie, so let's talk casting, everything we know including release date, and the biggest questions surrounding the storyline so far, plus a look at some special footage of Link in live-action form. I'm Kayla, and this is your Daily Fix. Let's jump in. Hiya! Nintendo has finally confirmed the lead actors for the live-action Legend of Zelda movie. Nintendo has chosen to go with fairly unknown actors, which is honestly pretty exciting. Zelda will be played not by the previously rumored Hunter Schafer, but by Bo Bragason, a 21-year-old British actor who's previously appeared on the Netflix fantasy adventure series Renegade Nell and the BBC crime drama adaptation The Jetty. She also has other experience playing fantasy characters, as she was most recently seen playing the vampire Clara Redley in British horror drama The Radleys. Now, our favorite green tunic-suited hero, Link, will be played by 16-year-old Benjamin Evan Ainsworth. Being this young means he's only had a handful of roles, but he has had a few notable ones. He played a major role in the Netflix horror series The Hunting of Bly Manor as Miles Dominic Wingrave, and also in the movie Everything is Going Great alongside Bryan Cranston, where Ainsworth appears to be musically inclined, just like our hero of time.
Hey! Hey! Do you have to play that thing where we can hear it?
Mom, I have to practice or I'll never sound good.
Hold on, is that a bagpipe of time? The casting was announced on social media today with a statement from Nintendo's own hero of time, Shigeru Miyamoto, expressing that he is very much looking forward to seeing the pair on the big screen. Alongside the announcement was a photo of Bo Bragason as Zelda, also wearing a blue dress in a similar color to what she wears in Tears of the Kingdom, and another of Benjamin Evan Ainsworth wearing what looks like to be a green tunic of sorts. Could Bo's blue dress be a hint to what storyline we might see in the movie? Or are we overanalyzing the significance of their regular clothes? More on potential storylines later. Originally announced in 2023, the Legend of Zelda live-action project is being produced by Miyamoto alongside Avi Arad, former CEO of Marvel Studios. Sony Pictures Entertainment will handle the distribution in addition to co-financing the movie with Nintendo. As for the film's release date, it's been officially confirmed for May 7th, 2027. With the lead cast finally announced and with a timeline of 2 years to go, I'm sure we'll find out more soon. So let's dive into what we know and who we're hoping to see. Aside from the main protagonist, when it's coming out, and the production companies involved, the only other big piece of information we have about the Zelda movie is who's directing and who's writing, which may give us some clues about what else we can expect. One of the first names attached to the project was its director, Wes Ball. He's best known for his work on the Maze Runner series as well as 2024's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. The screenplay for the Zelda movie is being handled by T.S. Nolan and Derek Connolly. Nolan previously worked with Wes Ball adapting the Maze Runner novels for the big screen, and Connolly was one of the writers for Detective Pikachu, so he at least has some experience turning a beloved Nintendo franchise into a movie that wasn't a total disaster. Then again, he also has credits on Jurassic World Dominion and The Rise of Skywalker. It's worth keeping in mind that blockbuster movies based on multi-million-dollar media properties typically aren't one person's passion project unless you're James Cameron. So, not to diminish the talents of the director and writers currently involved with the Zelda movie, but it's safe to assume that one factor that helped them land the job was how cooperative they've been when working with major studios in the past. The Legend of Zelda is one of the most iconic video game franchises in history, and you can bet that Nintendo will be closely scrutinizing how it's being reinterpreted in live action. After all, the company learned the hard way what happens when it lets some Hollywood hotshots get creative with the source material.
See you later, alligator!
There was a lot of speculation about what famous actors would be cast in the Zelda movie, but the upside to relative unknowns and starring roles is that, assuming they can act, our lack of expectations will make it a little easier to accept them as Link and Zelda, rather than two celebrities we've seen in other movies. Think of how Chris Pratt's Brooklyn accent was picked apart when that first trailer dropped for the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and then imagine he was also wearing slightly off-model Mario cosplay? It's worth pointing out we don't actually know for sure if Link will even talk in this movie. It's definitely possible for a non-verbal character to make a compelling hero under the right circumstances. Look at WALL-E, Silent Bob, Mr. Bean, R2-D2, Wile E. Coyote, Wallace's dog Gromit, and Charlie Chaplin, and, well, the entire era of silent film. So, the hero of time is being played by a lesser-known actor who may or may not have any lines. It's safe to assume that a production of this size will have at least some star power involved, doing a bit of scenery chewing to move the plot along. But what character would benefit the most from it, and who do you cast in that role? Well, the obvious answer is the big bad Ganon or Ganondorf or Calamity Ganon or whatever he's going by here. And really, the possibilities are pretty endless. But there are a few names that keep coming up in fan discussions. For starters, Idris Elba. Not only is he a big name, but he's shown that he's open to playing a video game character, voicing Knuckles the Echidna in the Sonic series, and he's also not averse to being in actual video games either, based on his performance in Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. Another name being thrown around is Jason Momoa, whose recent role in a Minecraft movie and its subsequent box office earnings might make him a possible candidate. Ralph Fiennes is another, and not that his theatrical talents are at all in question, but he's definitely got a ton of villain cred after playing Voldemort. Ron Perlman's name has also popped up, and while his gravelly voice might make him better suited for a Goron than a Gerudo, he's also got the chops to play a great bad guy. And before anyone says he's not the right build or body type for the role, friendly reminder that with modern special effects, literally anything is possible. I mean, Wes Ball's last movie was centered on talking primates, so clearly he's familiar with the wonders of performance capture, and he probably knows a few folks at Weta. Hey, on that note, what about Andy Serkis? Just spitballing here, but he carried the first 3 Planet of the Apes movies, not to mention the back end of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, plus he was a literal bad guy as Snoke in Star Wars. Food for thought. Again, there's no shortage of actors who could crush it as Ganon. So what other Zelda characters should we expect to see? Well, there is Impa. She's appeared in a dozen different games, usually with a drastically different appearance. She could be played by literally anyone, but she'll likely be dishing out some key exposition, so that's another role that could benefit from a well-known actress. The traveling merchant slash shopkeeper Beetle is another recurring character who would make for some good comic relief. And if we're going the Ocarina of Time route, there's Link's chatty fairy guide, Navi, who could be a talking ball of light or maybe an actual character. Speaking of Ocarina, there's something else worth mentioning. Maybe they're not done casting Link or Zelda. It's totally possible we could see adult versions of the characters at some point in the film, and depending on the role they play, maybe they'll be portrayed by well-known actors. Our most burning question of all, though, is who will Jack Black be playing? I'm half kidding, he isn't officially involved with the Zelda movie, and there's really no reason to assume that he will be, but it's also extremely possible. Between Mario and Minecraft, he starred in the 2 highest grossing video game adaptations, plus the video game-inspired Jumanji series and Borderlands, which is also technically a movie. I know there's some Jack Black fatigue, but come on, he'd make a great Tingle or maybe a Hestu if they pull from the most recent games, which of course brings us to the next question. What Zelda game will the Zelda movie be based on? Let's dig into that in a second, because now's a great time to score some incredible games through Humble. Live now through August 5th, grab Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, Daemon X Machina, Death's Door, Cat Quest 3, and more. Whether you're building your backlog or discovering something new, it's the perfect time to pick up these fan favorites. Plus, every purchase supports a good cause. This month, your Humble Choice membership supports Covenant House. Get a curated mix of PC games every month, all for just $14.99 a month. Skip a month or cancel anytime, and know that 5% of your membership goes to charity. So, we've taken a look at the confirmed and possible cast of the live-action Zelda movie. Now let's see what storylines the filmmakers can adapt or take inspirations from. But first, let's quickly recap the canonical origins of Hyrule, the tale that all the different Zelda storylines branch out from. Long ago, the 3 goddesses Din, Nehru, and Farore created the world and all the flora and fauna found within it. Before they departed, the 3 goddesses created the Triforce, a sacred object that represents the 3 virtues: power, wisdom, and courage. They left it in the care of another goddess, Hylia. The Triforce can grant a single wish to anyone worthy enough to wield the object, but if one is unworthy, it will split into 3 triangular pieces. This is basically the MacGuffin of the series, the thing that the bad guys and the good guys fight over for all eternity. Okay, so based on that origin narrative, the first canonical game in the Legend of Zelda timeline is Skyward Sword. Adapting the game could provide a strong foundation for future movies, as it involves the origin of Hyrule Kingdom, the Triforce, and the Master Sword, the magical weapon that future incarnations of Link will need to wield to defeat the ubiquitous bad guy of time, Ganon. More importantly, Skyward Sword explains the history of Link, Zelda, and Ganon, and how their destinies are intertwined for pretty much the rest of time. Now let's skip ahead a few games in the chronology to talk about probably the most influential one of all, Ocarina of Time. This one is a bit more complicated because it includes time travel and two sets of the three major franchise characters, young and old versions of Link, Zelda, and Ganon. If the filmmakers are going for a darker tone, Ocarina of Time is partially set in a post-apocalyptic world, and Ganon eventually conquers Hyrule and lords over it until adult Link, the hero of time, returns to do battle. This tale is fitting for the epic scope of a fantasy film, as the other non-human races of the world play major parts, like the aquatic Zora, which I love, the rock-loving Goron, and others. In both child and adult forms, Link must unite all the races of Hyrule against Ganon. Controversially, the timeline actually splits after this game into 3 different timelines, one where Link wins and his adventures continue from his child era, another where adult Link's legends continue on for hundreds of years after, and a third one where Ganon wins and Hyrule falls into decline. But this isn't a video about the Zelda timeline, so we're not going to dive too far into all those games. So let's go to the most recent console games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Nintendo hasn't officially placed those games in the Zelda timeline, but it's generally acknowledged by fans to be the most recent in the series chronologically. Some theories suggest that the 3-timeline split of the story after Ocarina converges in Breath of the Wild. So based on that, these games wouldn't be the best to adapt as the first in a series of films, but they do have their own fairly unique backstory. It involves Ganon and the imprisoning war to contain him, and a version of the generational curse placed on Link, Zelda, and Ganon. Taken on its own, that could be a solid enough foundation for its own set of films. I mean, there's robots with friggin' lasers, giant mechs, talking bird people, talking fish people, and Koroks everywhere. They can make a whole spin-off movie about Link looking for 900 pieces of golden poop. Those games have everything. Even the spin-off Age of Calamity game could have the makings of a pretty epic fantasy war film. Anyway, there are dozens of games in the Zelda franchise, and almost any of them can be the basis for their own movie. Yes, even freshly picked Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land for the Nintendo DS can probably be made into its own thing. Maybe a Netflix miniseries or something. But also, The Legend of Zelda is not one story. It's a whole mythology that's been reinterpreted and reinvented repeatedly for almost 40 years. It's The Legend of Zelda, after all. Anything's possible, but it seems very unlikely that the live-action feature film will be a straight one-to-one adaptation of an existing story. I know you all out there have your own ideas for a Zelda movie, so what would you like to see adapted into a major motion picture event? Let me know in the comments. Personally, as long as I see Talon napping behind Hyrule Castle, hopefully Link doesn't forget to bring a Kuko this time, and Link trying to sneak through the back of the castle, I'm happy. And that's it for today's Daily Fit.
Hold on, the footage.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't gonna forget about the special look at the live action footage. No. Hey, can you guys just play the thing?
I've got something special lined up today. I'm taking the harvest to Castletown Market. And you're coming with me. Now mind your manners and do what I say. Speak to no one. And for goodness sake, don't touch anything.
I've been waiting for you, Link. You've been kept safe, guarded by a secret race. For this very day, the kingdom of Hyrule will fall. Nothing can stop the evil which has crept inside these walls. I am too late. This is the Temple of Time. When these doors open again, it will be 7 years in the past. Find me again.
hero of time.
Hero of time! Face me!
And that was your Daily Fix for Wednesday, July 16th. Now that you're caught up on the news, go check out IGN's latest review of Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'm Kayla. Thanks for watching today's Fix. Ow. And I'll see you guys on the next one.